to Sons of the System in the Making. We're here today in Aalborg City. Basically pretty windy. This is the typical weather of Denmark.
No shit.
Yeah. And basically we're here at it's a street called Gasværksvej. And behind us we're standing like 6 years ago. We made the very first two songs, the very first two Mnemic songs, Flipping and Tattoos, which we produced at Jacob Hans's place later on. Basically, what you see behind is the very first place where we also introduced our very first singer, Mark, who later left the band, and then Michael as well. And the very first songs we did in here actually came on the Mechanical Spin Phenomena album. But at that point we were actually in a transition because we had to leave this place. We were actually sharing this rehearsal space. Now, as you can see, it's a union for an engineering or something like that. But back then it was just our rehearsal space that we shared with the band called Behind the Curtain, which actually has the keyboard player from Mercenary in it as well, also an Aalborg band. And Brian, our drummer, used to play in that band. So we were kind of the side project band back then. But now today it's completely different. So basically we were in a transition at that point, and where we switched the rehearsals, we got the record deal, and like this is 6 years ago, in 2003 or something like that. And we were in a transition, so next thing we'll show you is the new rehearsal and studio space. We're gonna go to that. Actually the transition when we went from the old place to the new place where we had Michael, where we started after writing two first songs, the Flipping and Tattoos, that we produced at Jacob Hans's. We moved in here, and then we started producing songs for the Mechanical Spin Phenomena album, and this is like 6 years ago. And now here we are today making our fourth album, Sons of the System. This rehearsal space is located in Aalborg, a small town in Denmark. It has a population of 120 inhabitants, 120,000 inhabitants. And yeah, it's easy to get around by bus, bicycle, car, whatever. And we quite like it here because it's got 2 floors. Downstairs we got the studio, upstairs we got the rehearsal. And that's about it. I think you should come in and check it out.
The basses I normally use is from ESP. It's the LTD versions. I play 5-string basses. Because of the very low tune that we normally play with in Mnemic, we play F sharp as the low. It's very low. I use a very heavy string. It's a 145. I use on the B I use a 135, and then it's 105, 85 and 70. It's very heavy strings. It sounds good, but it has to be heavy also to be able to make the sound of the very low B, to make it stable. And it does. I'm very happy with my ESP LTD basses, and someone else was happy too. This is my touring basses. I have 2 basses left from my stack of LTDs, because I got a lot of basses stolen by some fucker that I'm gonna track him down and kill. But yeah, so look out for LTD basses. It's probably mine.
So yeah, when I joined the band, like I guess it was like 3 years ago, so it was pretty hard to not to fit in Michael's shoes, because I'm not Michael, he's not Guillaume, we're totally like different persons, I mean, vocal wise, so it was not like a race to do what he was doing in the past with Mnemic. I had to do some different stuff, so some people like, some people don't, whatever, I just do my stuff. And it was like a natural process, because I remember when I was in Scarf, I was not a fan of like that extreme metal, like super hard and fast. It's super cool to play this music, but to listen to, that's not my cup of tea every day. I would not wake up every day with the death metal. So I was more a fan of a band like Mnemic, and that's pretty funny. They called me up to join the band because like within the 2 years earlier, that's pretty much the only band I really noticed that I just wasn't in touring with Corp. And I was listening to a CD in the tour bus. I was asking the guitarist, what's this band? He was like, yeah, this is Mnemic, the Danish band. Oh yeah. And I was really surprised amazed by the sound and the songs. That was super cool. So it was like I was super happy not to leave Corp, of course, because it was like we were like kind of a family. We've been touring for 7 years or something. So it was like leaving a family to join another, without even knowing if it was going to match, so but everything just turned out great, so I'm super happy about this.
So basically for the guitars, we're actually using only these 3 amps. We're using our Randall V2s. We're basically using this one to get a more warm tuba-like sound. We're going for a more rock and roll sound, if you can call it that way, but not entirely. And then we have the 5150 that we're using with the Tube Screamer. This is actually, I'm really happy about this amp, because it's actually the first time we're using it in the studio. We're only used to record with rectifiers, the Mesa Boogie rectifiers. And then we have the last Randall, the RM100, which is Kirk Hammett's model, where you can switch the modules in it. We're also using this to get a more grainy sound for the album, but the main amp we're using is the 5150, the PV, because it's got like a really heavy sound, and today most bands use either the rectifiers or the 5150s, but we choose not really to use the rectifier. We wanted to do something a little bit different maybe this time, so these are the heads we're recording with.
What will be different on the new album? Well, sound, definitely sound. It's a whole different sound this time, in my opinion. That's what we're aiming for. In my personal opinion, I've been going for something more rock soundish, something more open. That's what I've had in my mind when writing all the material, which also is the inspiration. It's been more open-minded, more not so much metal this time. It's been more, we all have different influences, of course, but on this album it's more prominent than before. It's a lot more open. It's much more a bigger, rockish sound. So yeah, I guess sound, I would say, is different this time. Yeah.
So well, that for me it's kind of totally different, because when I joined Mnemic, like I was not even knowing one single song. They just called me in. The process was super, like everything was late, so we had to do like super stressfully. I had to fly to Los Angeles to join the guys in the studio, because I guess I joined the band and only 2 weeks or 3 weeks after this I had to go to Los Angeles to join them. So I was just discovering the songs, and didn't feel that comfortable. I mean, that was cool to be in Los Angeles with the guys. That was super cool, like a dream come true for a musician, of course, to be there to work with producers such as Warren Riker, that's the guy that been producing Down, Santana, Michael Jackson as well. It's a super big name. He's a super nice guy as well. And to work with Christian Warburz from Fear Factory as well, that was kind of a great experience. But I was not feeling in my shoes out there to record the vocals, so I had to get back to France to record the vocals by myself, and that was pretty stressful because everything has to be on schedule, and so it was, and super weird not to know the song before having to sing on them. So this time on Sons of the System, sorry, that's the French accent, Sons of the System, we just I was part of the composition process for pretty much from the beginning. I haven't been writing, like I haven't been part of all the songs, but like most of them, it's just like I could have been involved in a composition process. So I'm super happy about the new songs. Of course, you always like more interested in one song from another. It's like I have some favorite songs on this one, but I mean the whole thing is totally interesting because it's really there's a lot of variety in the songs. It's more spontaneous, I think. It's gonna be brutal because I'm pretty surprised about the vocals, the screen vocals I've been doing on this album. It's like, oh, I didn't know I was able to do this. So I'm pretty excited about to hear the result once mixed by Two Mason. So yeah, it was great. I can't wait to handle the final CD in my hands, man.
For the bass sound on Sons of the System, at this time I chose to use my Forever pedal SansAmp bass driver DI. That's basically that's basically my sound. And this time I'm running through this brand new bass amp from TC Electronics. I use it together with some TC Electronics cabinets, and normally I use Ampeg together with my SansAmp because it has a really good sound for rock and metal, and it's very powerful. But this time for the recording I choose to make this use this Rebelhead 450 from TC Electronics because it's a bit more clean in the sound. It's really good for my recordings. Maybe this will be my new live head too, I don't know yet.
How is it working with Tui? Well, Tui, our producer, is he's something else. He's really cool. He's like part of the band when we work with him. He's the new member, and he's always been a big part of the band when we do the albums or when we record them, and he's also been that this time. Yeah, he is. He gives a lot of input and a lot of inspiration and stimulation in the best ways. Yeah, he's really just like the sixth member of the band when we do the album, and it's really great. It's really giving, and he's super cool to be around. Really fun, really cozy, really cool. So again, it's been a pleasure, Tui.
So basically, it's like we have a studio here, like the Mnemic studio, and when I come here, I just bring my gear to record vocals. For example, I use I love the vocals to be compressed a lot. Like I hate to be obliged to play with the gain when I sing lower or louder. It's like I don't like this. So I like to be like pretty much to get a pretty precise idea of what it's going to be in the end. So I just use it's Neumann like TLM 103, regular shit. I mean, it's like I don't give a shit about the brand of the microphone as long as it sounds good. And then I run to a DTC from Mindtrance. It's like it's a preamp, a pretty cool one. Then through a DBX 160 SL, it's like a big compressor from DBX that just gives me all this this compression that I really like about the vocals. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like, I mean, I don't really give a damn about the gear as long as it sounds good. So I found my gear, I like it. So I always want to work with it. But if you just give me something else that sounds as good, it doesn't matter. I mean, just the voice counts. I mean, the intention. So whatever the gear. But it's always important to have a good gear. Especially when you're French, because you're not supposed to, this is some kind of machines that transform your French accent to a pretty okay English accent. So, whatever. Yeah.
So this is my Ampeg bass gear that I usually use for recordings and live. This is a SVT 450. It's like the classic head, but it's without tubes. It's only transistors. So it's a bit faster in the sounds. And I played with 410s cabinet ampeg. But this time we chose together with the Rebel head I showed you before, the Rebel head from TC Electronics. We also used the TC Electronics cabinets on this recording. It's yeah, we used the 410s, and in the bottom I use 2 times 212. Yeah, so I'm testing this gear right now, and hopefully this will be my new gear for the road too. So it's cool, sounds great.
How long time do you spend in the studio? Well, tracking guitars usually takes, well, personally for me, tracking guitars takes about 8 to 10 days. And this time I've been doing some work at home to save time, so we can sort of, when I work at home, someone can track some other stuff out here like bass or vocals, so we save time to do that, because we don't have a lot of time this time to do the album. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of stuff at home too. But yeah, we usually do the whole thing about 4 or 5 weeks. That's everything in total. And in the studio itself, I spend around 2 weeks, just about.
Well, basically, as far as the production-wise, it's kind of hard today to explain how we feel about any sound in particular, mainly because the productions nowadays are all digital. And in my opinion, like, every band have been running into this wall production-wise, because nothing today sounds bad. Everything sounds good. Everything is digitized, more or less. Basically, this time around, we were kind of listening to different productions, like mostly Rick Rubin productions, because we wanted a more natural sound, a more punchy sound, the natural analog sound, but still not analog. It's kind of hard to explain it, because nowadays, like, everything sounds good, unless, everything is pretty much edited, and those were some of the things that we wanted to avoid, like to edit the drums, like use Beat Detective, which we've never done actually. Brian has always played to the click. He's always been on time, and I mean, we had to, of course, do a lot of retakes, but that's how you usually do it in the studio. As far as the sound, we just wanted something really, really heavy. Surprise, surprise. But compared to the last production, I think last production on the Passenger album, we kind of got arrogant about the whole thing, because I mean, we spent so much money on the whole production. We went to Los Angeles. We recorded the album at Track Record Studios. There was like gold records on the wall. Kiss have been there. Megadeth recorded their Rust in Peace, I think. The songs on the last album, I mean, they're okay, but they could have been a lot better. We were kind of in a weird transition where we had a new singer in the band. We worked with Warren Riker, who's been doing the Down albums. Really cool guy. And we worked with Christian as well. He was more like the guy behind it, more or less, like telling us, if it sounded good or not, and so on. Basically this time around, we just wanted to do everything ourselves, more or less, to have full control of the production. And we wanted to work with Tua again. First and foremost is because that Tua has, he's a friend of the band. He knows the sound. He knows like what we want, and we know what we can get with him. I mean, we did the very first 2 albums with him, and pretty successful albums. But it was also because we were on the same page with Tua. And he was very idealistic about it, and so were we at the time, and we still are, and that's why we wanted to do everything ourselves, which means that we recorded the drums at Tua's studio in Ant Farm. Basically, it's an hour and a half away from Aalborg, the rest we kind of wanted to do ourselves, the guitars, bass, and vocals, because we can work on it whenever we want. We have our own studio here, and that's pretty much it. As far as gear-wise, we're basically trying to, you know, as I told you earlier, we wanted to do a more natural sound, which means that we will not get other gear into the studio, like rent a lot of fancy equipment and stuff like that. We're just going to record with whatever we have, so we can replicate the sound in a live situation, to be more accurate. And you know, it's more like it's us, it's the band. And the Sons of the System, it's been an album that has been on the way for a long time, like 2 years. We stopped touring like at the end of 2007 because we were totally burned out, and we kind of got like lost in all the mumbo jumbo of the media, record company management and stuff like that. So we kind of ended up firing pretty much everybody working for us. We took a break, and in this break we kind of like found ourselves again, because we didn't want to be affected by opinions like record label telling us you have to do the Master of Puppets kind of thing. You have to do your best album, and that's what happened last time. And we got really pressured also by the management. You got to do POD songs like for the radio, and we're not that kind of band. I mean, nowadays we're 5 different individuals. We have 5 different inspiration sources. We listen to everything. I listen to a lot of Nine Inch Nails, Wu-Tang Clan, and you know, to death metal. But we don't listen to the 3 albums that actually shaped the sound on the first album, which was Fear Factory, Meshuggah, and Strapping Young Lad. We got inspired by those bands, not by their music, but by their way of thinking, like do something original, and that's what we did on the first album. Still, you can hear the inspiration sources. But this time around, we got confused so many times because we didn't quite know where we were going musically, and I think it's being represented on this album because it has a lot of grind, a lot of rock, a lot of, you know, mid-tempo songs, fast songs, so it goes up and down and up and down all the time. That's about it. So I hope you'll enjoy the Sons of the System, and we can't wait to get the album out. So now we're pretty much done with tracking the guitars, the bass, the drums, and so on, and we kind of like moved from our own studio, as you've seen before, down to this other town called Aarhus. We're here at the Ant Farm Studios. It's actually two Masson's own studio here. We basically started out, we were here earlier a couple weeks ago to record the drums, went back to our studio, and now we're back here to do the final editing, like putting some guitar synths on, samples, keyboards. I mean, we have those, but everything needs to be balanced, everything needs to be put in the right levels and so on, and the 2 is really great at that. So we're in the town of Aarhus, and now we're gonna come in and check out the studio.
Mnemic has changed a lot since we did the first album. In some ways, and in other ways, I think it's still possible to, or it's still very clear that it's the same band writing the songs on the new album. The tempo is not as rapid and fast all the time. It's tempo is slowed down, become more melodic in some places, but the riffs still have that Mnemic feel to it, the weird time feel sometimes, and you know, to me it's more like a small focus on writing songs now, and less focus on showing off crazy weird little bits that we did so much in the first album.
This time we focused on making the drums neutral when we recorded them, so we didn't put that much EQ for starters. We didn't like make a whole lot of complex things in the recording period. We made sure the drums were in tune, and so when we're in the mixing process, we can take each song whatever direction we want to take it. So I personally like albums that sound where each song sounds different. It has its own life, and again, I like when drums sound authentic. So that means no fixing, no triggers, no sound replacing, and stuff like that. Because I like when you can hear the drummer like sweating, almost. You know, when you listen to an album, you can hear the drummer working, and I would like to have that feeling come across when people listen to our album.
We tried a lot of different things this time. Like the way we recorded drums was different, and the way the mix is going is very different. It's like the mix is going on at the same time the tracking is still going on. The guys have been tracking bass and guitar and vocals by themselves for the most part, and I have been doing mixes on the side so that the song is building at the same time in the mix phase, but also while they're doing their dubs, so that we're, you know, my mix can maybe influence some of the ideas they come up with guitar wise and synth wise, and vice versa. Sometimes it inspires you to do a different kind of mix if you don't hear all the instruments, and then once everything gets piled on top, you maybe have to sacrifice some of it, or maybe not, because the mix turned out to be a better idea than a specific guitar part, or the other way around, you know. So we're trying very hard to make the songs sound different, which is something which is really rare these days in metal productions. I think you get a lot of albums sounding pretty similar from start to finish, and hopefully it will still sound like all the songs came off the same album, but we're trying to make each song stand out in a different way than the next one and the previous one, so that you don't have a feeling that the pause in between songs was just a long break, but was, you know, now the end of a chapter, a new chapter can begin, and different things will start to happen in the next song. So you're definitely not going to hear the same drum sound going through the whole album. That much is for sure already now. So, and we used a lot of different amps. Like I think on the previous album we always did like 4 guitars on everything, and this time we used mainly 3 different guitar amps, but for the most part it's only 2 rhythm guitars and then some dubs on certain parts to enhance whatever feeling or something, but also changing the heads so it's not the same guitar amp you hear through the whole album. You hear like 3 different amps going on different parts and changing in between, so you get like, hopefully when you hear the album you will hear like journey. You won't just hear like a wall of noise starting and then stopping 50 minutes later. So that's what we're trying to achieve here.
I think the main difference from the songs on this album compared to the other songs is our 2 guitar players were actually more prepared when they came to the rehearsal when we made the songs, and we got the opportunity to listen to the songs with, you know, like melody themes on top of the riffs before we put the songs together. So we had a good idea where the song was going when we made the song, instead of making a song and sitting in the studio and thinking, okay, what could be right here and what sample could to do here, and so this time around everything was, I don't know, more well prepared. But basically it's still Mnemic. It's still the same guys making the songs, and the difference is going to be the sound of it and the atmosphere of the songs, because we're not the same guys that we were when we made Mechanical Spin Phenomena. We have new bands and new things that inspire us, and that will come across in this new album.
I think since the last album, the songwriting has gotten a lot better. Already when in the very simplest demo forms, I thought a lot of the songs for this album were really, really strong. That really, to me, is the main difference. Guillaume has been in the band for more time than just a couple of months, so of course he's settled in with the band. They are writing songs that fits him, and he has influence on songwriting and stuff, so it's more of a band effort maybe than the last time, but to me it really shows in the songwriting. It's just way better songs, really, really cool, heavy shit going on some of these songs, and even when it seems like a quiet song sometimes, it's like when you dig into it, it's just so basically so heavy. So, and I think on Passenger maybe it was you know, yeah, I don't know, I didn't record it, I don't know what happened, I only mixed it. But to me this seems like just the songwriting is just way better.
I play drums, I play Tama Star Classic and minor cymbals and Evan's heads, and actually Tama drumsticks as well. I haven't got anything right here because at this moment we're in the mixing phase of the album, and my drums are actually back home, so that we'll have to wait for another time.